Put your insurance policy to the test and turn to Gabi. They literally stand for Get a Better Insurance. They are the one true comparison platform with real rates. Just use your current insurance information to get started, and in minutes, you'll be able to see quotes for the exact same coverage you currently have, and it's free to use. Put your policy to the test like I did. Get a better insurance with Gabi. It's totally free to check and there's no obligation. Go to gabi.com/killer. That's GABI.com/killer. Gabi.com/killer.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another true crime video here.
To take a minute and talk about the ads in the videos. So if you want to skip this part, just go to 3:15.
Before we get started, I need to talk to you guys about the ads that are in the videos. I know we had this discussion a couple months ago, I think, but we need to talk about it again because I don't want it to just seem like I am not paying attention to what you guys are saying, because I am. I think the first thing that I want to say about it is I totally hear the frustration and I understand where you're coming from. I understand that not a lot of true crime YouTubers do it the way that I do, and I understand that you might be thrown off as to why I do it this way. What I will say is that I am one person that's a part of a team of people who also are involved in Killer Instinct, which if you don't know is my podcast. I have a true crime podcast, and the true crime podcast and my YouTube videos are synced together. How we do the ads, like I explained last time, is whatever ads go in the podcast also go in the true crime videos. I completely understand the frustration with them being in the middle of the videos. We used to have them in the beginning of the videos, and you guys didn't like that either because it felt like it was taking forever to get to the actual video. So because of that, we decided to put them in the middle just to try and split it up a little bit so you didn't just jump in and get 5 minutes of ads, because you guys hated that too. So we tried doing the mid-rolls, and I know you guys don't really like that either. Unfortunately, having the ads at the end of the video is not an option. And again, I want to reiterate, you know, there are a lot more people involved in this than just me. It's not me sitting here making all of these decisions. What I will say is I completely support and endorse every single sponsor that I sponsor here. And so with this being said, I do want you to know that there is an ad-free version of my podcast available. If you just want to listen to the case and you absolutely hate the ads, there is an ad-free version available that I'll have linked in the description. I believe it's a premium subscription type deal, but it's ad-free. And right now that really is the only option I have for if you want to listen to no ads. I 100% understand where you're coming from when you say that you feel like it is disrespectful to monetize on cases like this. But the fact of the matter is YouTube doesn't monetize these videos. Due to the nature of the content, these videos don't often get monetized. It'll either get partially monetized or not monetized at all. And so in order to be able to keep making these videos, sponsors have to be included. Again, a lot of you have also said that the nature of how I do my cases doesn't match up with how many ads are in videos, meaning I have a 30-minute video and 5 minutes out of those 30 minutes are ads. If you have a problem with the way that I tell my cases, then you can go watch someone else who tells them in a way that you appreciate them better. But if you like the way that I tell my cases, there's always ways to get around the ads, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. But with that being said, well, let's jump right on into the case today. Now, as you guys can tell by the title of today's video, today we are talking about the case of 19-year-old Tanner Ward. Like I said, Tanner was 19 years old when he was found dead in December 2017. This case has a lot of conspiracy around it regarding whether or not it was a suicide or a homicide. There are a lot of conflicting opinions, and I would love to hear yours. Tanner Ward was born on September 7th, 1997 to his mother Lisa Ward and his father Curtis Ward. Tanner has a sister named Kelsey as well as an older brother named Tyler, and the whole family lived in Trenton, Missouri. Tanner is described as someone who had a contagious smile. He was always joking around, laughing. He loved hanging out with his family and his friends. In Tanner's teenage years, he did get into some trouble with the law. This included him getting involved with the wrong people, him getting involved in drugs and petty crime. But by 2017, it really did seem like Tanner was turning his life around. Something to know about Tanner is that he has a daughter. His daughter is named Sophia, and he also had a fiance named Megan. And according to Tanner's sister Kelsey, she called Tanner and his little family a true love story and said that there was absolutely nothing he wouldn't do for his daughter. He was absolutely obsessed with her, and he loved being a dad. Even at the young age of 19, he really took on that role and would move mountains for his daughter. he was absolutely obsessed with his daughter. Now, Trenton is a very small town. It's described as a town that's too small to get lost in, and in 2017, it had a population of a little bit under 6,000 people, and that is going to be important to note as we continue on with this case. So this case begins on June 7th, 2017, and on this particular night, Tanner was at home at his parents' house. He was hanging out there, his daughter was there, and Tanner's mom, Lisa, had asked Tanner if he wanted her to make him a plate of dinner. She was cooking that night and asked Tanner if he wanted her to make her some. And that is when Tanner informed his mom that he was actually stepping out for a little bit. He said that he was going to be gone for about 30 minutes and said that he was going to see a friend of his named Jeremiah. But he did say that he was going to be, again, like I said, only 30 minutes, and so he would be coming back. So he did ask his mom to make him a plate of dinner for when he returned. Now, when Lisa heard that Tanner was going to hang out with a kid named Jeremiah, Lisa had no idea who this Jeremiah guy was, and neither did Tanner's sister, Kelsey. According to Tanner's family, Jeremiah was a new name that had literally just been introduced to them that night, right before Tanner said he was going to go see him. And in the research that I did, it wasn't really clear if there were questions asked about what the two of them were going to be doing or where they were going or who Jeremiah was. It just seems like Tanner said, oh, I'm going to go hang out with my friend Jeremiah. I'll be back in 30 minutes. Make me a plate of dinner. It seemed very, very casual. So because Tanner was acting so casual about it, his family didn't really see anything wrong. He was 19 years old. He was going to go hang out with a friend, and he said he would be back. But Tanner never made it home that night. Now, the next morning, when Tanner still didn't come home, his family knew that something was up. Tanner was not the type of guy to go completely MIA from his family, especially when he said he was going to be coming right back. Now, something to note about Tanner is that Tanner did not have a cell phone. Slight correction, Tanner did have a cell phone. He just did not bring it with him that night, and he also left his keys at his house as well. But Tanner did not bring or have a cell phone with him when he left the house. Now, because of that, there were no phone calls, there were no texts, there was no way that Tanner's family was going to be able to contact him. Now, when Tanner didn't come home, this is when Tanner's sister Kelsey started taking matters into her own hands, and she started retracing Tanner's steps from the night prior. The first thing that she did is she started going around to people in the town that she knew, asking who this Jeremiah guy was, and when she did that, she ultimately was able to find out where he lived, so she went right to his apartment. Now, when Kelsey got to Jeremiah's apartment, she said she walked up to the door and started knocking on it, and no one answered the door. And she kind of just figured that whoever was in there was probably asleep, but what she did notice is that the door was unlocked. So she decided to actually walk right into his apartment, and when she did, she noticed that Jeremiah's entire apartment, in her words, was completely trashed. There was trash lying everywhere. There was also a huge hole in one of the walls of the apartment, and the back door was completely left wide open. Now, when Kelsey was walking through the apartment, she noticed that there was no one there, but she also noticed that Tanner's baseball cap was on the coffee table. Now, this was Tanner's favorite hat, and it was also the hat that he wore the night prior when he left his house. Now, once Kelsey found the hat, she immediately took it right to the authorities and told them about what was going on, and the authorities at first didn't think much of it. They didn't think it was enough evidence to prove that something was wrong. They thought that Tanner was just a runaway. Maybe he just wanted to get away for a little bit. Maybe he went off with another girl, but Tanner's family knew that this was not the case. Now we move to 2 weeks after Tanner has gone missing, and no one has seen or heard from him since. It literally just seemed like he dropped off the face of the earth and no one had heard from him. Now, the authorities still at this point really weren't certain that Tanner was considered a missing person or an endangered missing person, or that foul play was involved in this case at all. So Tanner's family was really taking matters into their own hands, and they made missing persons flyers and put them all throughout Trenton. And one day while Kelsey was putting up these missing persons flyers, she actually ran into Jeremiah face to face for the very first time. Now, according to Kelsey, when she saw Jeremiah, he was driving in his truck, and Kelsey just kind of stopped him and told him to pull over and get out of the car. And when Jeremiah got out of the car and shut the door, Kelsey noticed that Jeremiah was actually wearing Tanner's shirt. It was Tanner's shirt that he was last seen in. And obviously this threw Kelsey off completely, because why would Jeremiah be wearing Tanner's shirt? Why would Tanner's shirt come off at all? And when Kelsey got closer to Jeremiah, she noticed there were a couple stains on the shirt as well. And Kelsey said that these stains looked like cigarette burn holes on the shirt. A direct quote from Kelsey is, quote, "I told him, what the hell is on your shirt? Because it looks like 4 cigarette burn holes." Jeremiah said, "Oh, nothing, those are stains." And I was like, "Those don't look like stains." And I told him, "Well, I'm going to call the police." And Jeremiah said, "I'll just meet you at the police station." Now, when they got to the police station is when authorities initially started questioning Jeremiah in regards to Tanner's disappearance. According to authorities, they said, quote, "Jeremiah was someone that we looked at hard. We talked to him a lot," end quote. Now, according to authorities, when they got to the police station, when Kelsey and Jeremiah did, and authorities were talking to Jeremiah, they asked him to remove the shirt. And according to them, Jeremiah did put up a little bit of a fight against this, and he was really reluctant to give them the shirt. However, ultimately, authorities basically made him hand over the shirt so they could do forensic testing on it. When authorities were asked if there was any blood spatter found on the shirt, they said, quote, "There was a couple anomalies on the shirt. I can't say that they're blood, but we've certainly asked for them to be tested," end quote. Authorities also gave Jeremiah a voice stress test, which police said did indicate some levels of deception. Police also learned that Jeremiah's dad had a house in Edinburgh, which is about 10 minutes from Trenton, and they searched that property there as well. They brought cadaver dogs there, and the cadaver dogs did get a hit on a part of the property. It was actually a burn pit that the dogs hit on, and authorities dug through that burn pit, and they did find bones. However, an anthropologist looked at the bones and did say that they were animal remains and not human remains. Now, with this being such a small, tight-knit community, everyone wanted to be involved in Tanner's case. Everyone had a tip, everyone had a lead, and everyone had something to say about it, which authorities weren't too happy about. They actually used 4 words to describe the tips that they were getting. The first being misinformation, the second being speculation, the third being conjecture, and the fourth being rumors. So that really should tell you everything you need to know about what authorities were getting from the people in the town. The following 6 months were spent with Tanner's family having no idea where he could have possibly went. He had vanished into thin air, so it seemed, and his family knew that there were people out there that knew more than they were letting on. Tanner was last seen in June, and now fast forward 6 months later to December 2017. More specifically, Monday, December 4th, 2017. On this particular day, there were 2 high school students, a boy and a girl, walking to school, and they were walking through a wooded area. This wooded area was near Shanklin Avenue, and while they were walking through this wooded area, they discovered a body hanging from a tree. Obviously, when they discovered the body, they contacted authorities immediately, who arrived on the scene and contacted Tanner's family to come and see if it could possibly be him. Once Tanner's father arrived on the scene, he was the one that made the identification. He made the physical identification, and then through dental records, it was confirmed that the body that was found hanging was in fact Tanner Ward. Now, in terms of the condition of the body, as you can imagine, the body was badly decomposed. The fingers were basically mummified, and along with that, the body did not have any feet. The feet had been cut off of the body. Now, the autopsy was conducted by Dr. Mitchell from Frontier Forensics, Midwest of Kansas City. And this autopsy concluded that Tanner committed suicide by hanging himself in a tree from a wooded area. The report stated that the body was hanging, quote, "well above grade over an area of branches and other deteriorates," end quote. And it was said that the cord that was used to suspend the body was wrapped around the branch multiple times. Tanner was wearing a t-shirt when he was found, as well as a pair of jeans, and the autopsy also stated that Tanner's body had no other injuries other than the injury around his neck. Now, I first want to discuss the missing feet, because this is a big part of this case, obviously, as you can imagine, because a lot of people have thought, why in the hell are his feet missing? That must indicate that there was some sort of accident. Someone had to have cut his feet off. However, authorities and medical examiners have said it actually is very possible if Tanner was hanging from that tree for 6 months, with the way gravity works, his feet could have fallen off. Whether that was with the shoes that he was wearing, if his shoes became too heavy and ultimately pulled his feet off, or if his feet just fell off because they were hanging for so long. Both of those are valid options. Now, something that I didn't see that I was curious is I was wondering if there was a way that a medical examiner could conclude based off of how his legs were, whether it was a clean cut, meaning it was a cut made from a saw or a knife or something that would actually slice his feet off, meaning someone else did this to him, or if they fell off in a way that showed natural decomposition. Now, Tanner's family, along with a lot of people, have said that there is absolutely no way that this is suicide. They believe that something far more sinister had to have been involved in this. Lisa, Tanner's mother, said, quote, "If I truly believed my son put himself in that tree, I could maybe accept it. But there's not a fiber in my body that believes my son killed himself. There was no suicide note. He was not suicidal. He didn't have suicidal tendencies. And he was very involved with his family. He was making plans for Father's Day weekend. He was making plans for when his dad got back from deployment," end quote. Now, like I said earlier, the amount of tips that were coming in on this case were astronomical, and that number even multiplied when Tanner's body was found. Kelsey said, quote, "We've gotten a bunch of text messages or tips on all of what happened to Tanner. One tip said he was tortured for about 4 months and they killed him and kept him in a freezer. Another said that they beat him with a baseball bat and they tortured him, and then they hung him in either a well or a fruit cellar, kept him alive, but unfortunately he died," end quote. Kelsey also says that she believes that Tanner was tortured. She says that she believes he was kept alive for months and they killed him because they didn't know what to do with him any longer. However, like I said, authorities think different. Authorities were basically accusing the community of fueling the fire of believing that this was a homicide by sending in all of these tips that had no real evidence to back them up. Authorities literally described the tips that they were getting as a bad game of telephone, and they were just snowballing after each and every one. An argument that Tanner's family has made to prove that this is not suicide is the fact that when Tanner's body was found, it was basically mummified. And in order for a body to be mummified, it would have to be in an area that was away from humidity and away from moisture. However, in the months that Tanner was missing, there were many thunderstorms and lots of rain and moisture, which could have made it hard for the body to mummify. If a body is out in those conditions for that long, you would think animals would get it. You would think it would be infested with bugs and insects trying to eat at it. However, that was not the case with Tanner's body. It had no evidence of being attacked by animals or birds or anything like that. Now, something that's also important to note here is where Tanner's body was found. Tanner's body was found hanging 25 feet above ground in a tree located 3 blocks away from his family home. Only 3 blocks. That means if Tanner did commit suicide, he was hanging in that tree for 6 months before anyone found him, just 3 blocks away from his family home. Now, when it comes to the 2 school kids who found Tanner's body initially, that was not the first time that they had taken that route. They had actually taken it 2 or 3 times prior to that as well, and they did not see Tanner's body on either of those occasions. And according to them, they said they 100% believe that they would have seen it if it was there before. They said that during the other walks, they were just as close, if not closer, to the tree where they saw Tanner hanging from. And that area was also an area that Tanner's family had searched before. It was only 3 blocks from their house. They obviously had gone through it multiple times, and according to them, the body was never there. Before we move any further, we are going to thank today's sponsors for this video.
Now, before we get started today, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Fetch. Now, if you guys have never heard of Fetch before, Fetch is an app that allows you to scan your receipts every time you go shopping. You scan your receipts, which then stacks up points, which ultimately saves you money. Once you stack up enough points, you can then exchange those points for gift cards in Fetch's reward section. The app is easy to use, it's easy to sign up, it's easy to scan receipts, and it's easy to save. I cannot stress enough how simple Fetch has made this entire process. And also, you don't have to worry about where your receipts are coming from. You just scan your receipts and get points. Now, these can be receipts from grocery stores, Amazon, they could be e-receipts,
And they can even be receipts that you receive from restaurants, takeout, or delivery apps as well. This one really is a no-brainer and the process is so easy. So if you guys want to try out using Fetch today, you can do so by checking out the link in the description. Use the code KILLER to get 4,000 points when you scan your first receipt. Download the app now and use the code KILLER to earn 4,000 points when you scan your first receipt. This is a limited time offer for my viewers and one you will not want to miss, so go scan your receipts and start saving today. Okay, you guys, let's talk about HelloFresh. If you've never heard of HelloFresh, HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouthwatering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking fun, easy, and affordable. HelloFresh cuts out the stressful meal planning and grocery store trips so you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. HelloFresh has a wide variety of easy, delicious options for all 3 meals a day, plus every snack and special treat in between. Over 4 in 5 HelloFresh customers say HelloFresh helps them lead a healthier lifestyle with delicious, low-calorie, carb-smart, and vegetarian options available each week. I know for me, I'm someone that has a very busy lifestyle, and as much as I would love to be able to sit down and plan out all my meals, it can often get very stressful, but HelloFresh has completely removed that stress off of my plate. Right now, I'm loving HelloFresh's walnut crusted salmon as well as their carnitas tacos. And I'm personally someone who's not super talented in the kitchen, but HelloFresh is super, super easy to follow along with. Now, you guys have also heard me talk about Green Chef in the past, and Green Chef is another food delivery service, and they're also now owned by HelloFresh. I love switching between the brands, and now you guys can enjoy both brands at a discount on me. Go to HelloFresh.com/killer12 and use code KILLER12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/killer12 and use code KILLER12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Okay, you guys, I want to talk to you about Uncommon Goods. Uncommon Goods is an online shop filled with unique, totally unexpected gifts. And when I say unexpected, I mean truly unexpected. Here are a few of our favorite gifts that we found on their site. This includes the wine bottle topper serving set. This is so unique and so pretty, as well as the Tranquil Tea break set, the nesting flower bowls, and the peanut butter sampler. These are just a couple examples of what Uncommon Goods has on their website. Now, personally, my mom is my favorite person on the planet. She is my rock. And for Mother's Day this year, I am getting her the wine bottle topper serving set. Something her and I have in common is our love for wine, and we definitely bond over that a lot. So this will be a perfect gift for her. Uncommon Goods is the place to go for thoughtful, original gifts for everyone in your life. When you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the United States. They don't sell products made with leather, feathers, or fur. It's a Brooklyn-based company that's all about giving back. With every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $2.5 million to date. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/killer. That's uncommongoods.com/killer for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, they're all out of the ordinary. Now, if you guys are as obsessed with Amazon as I am, you may or may not have heard of Amazon Pharmacy. Amazon Pharmacy saves you time, it's easy, you can use your insurance, and Amazon Prime members get free 2-day delivery. Amazon Pharmacy delivers your medication directly to your door, so no more waiting in line at the pharmacy. You can have your doctor's office send your prescription straight to Amazon Pharmacy. Amazon Pharmacy works with most insurance plans nationwide. And like I said, Amazon Prime members get free 2-day delivery and save on prescription medication when paying without insurance. My experience with Amazon Pharmacy has been absolutely amazing. I love the fact that it's super easy to sign up and that my medications get delivered straight to my door in a discreet packaging. All I had to do was sign up, fill out some basic information about myself, fill out what medications that I take, also state whether I have any other allergies or health conditions. And then there are two different ways that you can get your prescription on file. You can either contact your prescriber directly and have your prescription sent to Amazon Pharmacy and they will start processing it, or Amazon Pharmacy can also request a prescription on your behalf. And then once Amazon Pharmacy has your prescription, they will notify you so you can place your order and choose to pay with or without your insurance. Now, for me, you guys, this has been an absolute lifesaver to just have my medications sent directly to my front door. It's been such an easy process, and Amazon Pharmacy makes it super, super convenient. When it comes to car and home insurance, don't we deserve better? I know I do. I put my policy to the test and turned to Gabi. They literally stand for Get a Better Insurance. Getting better insurance with Gabi means a better price for the same insurance coverage. Who knew that something like that existed? They are the one true comparison platform with real rates. They give you an apples-to-apples comparison of your current coverage with 40 of the top insurance providers like Progressive, Nationwide, and Travelers, and it's all in one place. You can use your current insurance information to get started, and in just minutes, you'll be able to see quotes for the exact same coverage you currently have, and it's free to use. That's exactly what I did. Once I signed up with Gabi using my current insurance provider, Gabi showed me 3 different quotes, and I saw that I could be saving $150 after using Gabi's services. On average, Gabi customers save $961 per year, and Gabi will never sell your info, so no annoying spam or robocalls. Put your policy to the test like I did. Get a better insurance with Gabi. It's totally free to check, and there's no obligation. Go to gabi.com/killer. That's gabi.com/killer. gabi.com/killer. Now let's talk theories. I first want to talk about the theory that Tanner's family believes and that a lot of people believe, and that is that Tanner did not commit suicide and that Tanner was murdered. Now, like I said in the beginning, Tanner had gotten himself into some trouble with the law involving drugs along with crime. Lisa, Tanner's mother, has said, quote, "Tanner was no angel, but he was not the worst person in the world either," end quote. Now, something to know is that Tanner was actually on felony probation at the time of his disappearance, and this was due to a home invasion that him and his brother Tyler were involved in 2016, so just the year prior to his disappearance. This home invasion involved Tanner and his brother showing up with a gun and holding people in the home hostage. Now, it is said that the people in this house included Jeremiah, as well as Jeremiah's neighbor Stephanie Miller, along with Stephanie Miller's daughter. Now, the alleged theory here is that Jeremiah and Stephanie decided to get back at Tanner for holding them hostage a year prior to his disappearance. Kelsey said, quote, "From what I've been told, they didn't intentionally kill him. They were just supposed to beat him and let him go, but Tanner decided to fight back," end quote. I do want to say, though, that neither Jeremiah or Stephanie Miller has ever been charged in anything regarding Tanner's disappearance, and Stephanie has said, quote, "I don't know anything about what happened to Tanner. I'm not sure exactly why or what their opinions are based on. It's important to me for the family to know that I had nothing to do with this," end quote. Now, it's also important to note that in this home invasion police report, when the police arrived and arrested Tanner and Taylor and made the police report, Stephanie Miller's name was never even in this police report. So if you feel like I just threw a random name at you and it's kind of like coming out of the blue, I kind of felt the same way when I was doing my research. I felt like that would have more weight if it was anything that was super prominent. However, it is a theory that Tanner's family thinks could hold some truth to it, so I think that it is important to talk about. Now, another theory that I have seen floating around is the theory that Tanner and Jeremiah had more of a relationship than anyone really wants to admit. I've seen theories that state that it's possible that Jeremiah and Tanner were more than friends and that they were hanging out that night together, and maybe Tanner ended it or Jeremiah ended it, or they gotten into an argument and it resulted in Tanner's death. I do want to say, though, there has never been anything to prove this theory to be true. However, because it has been mentioned so many times, I think that it is important to just talk about it, but there isn't anything to prove that they had a relationship that was anything other than a friendship. Now, a big question that I have seen with the homicide theory is that if Tanner was murdered, How would someone be able to put his body up in a tree like that? To carry over 200 pounds of dead weight up a tree is extremely difficult, if not borderline impossible. So how is it possible that someone was able to do that? Is it possible that someone basically forced Tanner to tie himself to the tree and jump? Is that a possibility? And if this was homicide, Tanner's body was clearly somewhere before it had been found for a decent period of time. It is clearly based on how badly it was decomposed, it was being held somewhere. So if that is the case, where was Tanner's body being held? Another theory here is that Tanner did in fact commit suicide. A lot of people have vetoed this theory because they think that Tanner would never have acted so casual when leaving his house that day. He literally left the house just as if he would do so on any other day. And a lot of people think that because of that, and along with the fact that he asked his mom to make him dinner for when he came back, on top of the fact that he has a daughter that he's absolutely obsessed with, why would he ever commit suicide? Also, if this was suicide and he was hanging there for 6 months, how in the hell did no one see him before? Again, this was 3 blocks away from his family home. The authorities had searched through this area. How did they not see him before? A lot of people believe that the police have been covering up for Jeremiah. I'm not exactly sure why or how or what the connection would be there. However, a lot of people believe that because the police work was so bad in this case, because it took them so long when Jeremiah first went missing to consider him an actual missing person, and then when his body was found, the same day that his body was found, it was immediately ruled a suicide. They didn't question it once, and because of that, a lot of people believe that they are covering up for something. Now, a question that I had when doing my research in this case was, where is Tanner's car in all of this? Is it possible that he left his car at home and Jeremiah came to pick him up? Yes. Is it possible that he drove somewhere? Yes. But in all of my research, I never saw anything that stated where his car went that day, which I just found to be a little strange, because if his car was found at Jeremiah's house, then that would show that that was the last place that he was, potentially. But if Jeremiah picked him up, then that's a totally different story. However, we just don't know where his car is. I'm sure his family knows, and I'm sure the authorities know. We as the public have never been told what Jeremiah says happened that night. We don't know what he has been saying that they did together. We don't know whether they went and hung out with other people. Again, that's obviously something I'm sure the police know. Obviously, they've been talking to him for quite a while. However, because we as the public don't know what Jeremiah has been saying, it leaves us with a lot more questions than answers. Forensic professionals have also said if this was suicide, it wouldn't be the hardest thing to believe. He was above sight view. He was 25 feet above the ground, and with the winds that roll through, the winds would be able to mask the scent of the decomposing body. However, there are some people who say that is absolutely BS and not the case. And not only would you see the body, you would smell it as well, especially if you're walking that close to it. Now, Tanner's case to this day has been ruled a suicide. It is a closed case and it's ruled a suicide. However, there are so many people who believe that this is not a suicide. For me, I have a hard time believing that Tanner's body was in that tree for 6 months, 3 blocks away from his home, and no one saw it. That is probably the hardest thing that I have to believe. To me, it just seems very, very, very unlikely. And based off of Tanner's past, it does seem that he has involved himself with the wrong people before. I don't think that this is someone who doesn't know bad people or doesn't know people who are capable of doing things like this. So because of that, I do think it's possible that this was a homicide. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. With that being said, you guys, that is all for me today. Thank you so much for tuning in to another true crime video here on my YouTube channel. If you're new here, hi, my name's Savannah. I make videos weekly. You should subscribe and join the family. I'll be back in a couple days with a brand new one. And until then, stay safe, guys.